You ever feel like the official story of your favorite artist is missing something? Like the real gritty details have been polished away for the final cut? Well, what if I told you that for Eminem, the most authentic origin story fans are searching for right now might just be a forgotten, unofficial documentary from way back in 2004?
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at what's got modern fans talking and why they're feeling a little let down. Then we're going to jump back 2 decades to this obscure film that's suddenly become the answer. We'll get into his early life, the birth of Slim Shady, and finally, why this old doc is more relevant than ever.
So, what kicked off this whole conversation? It actually started with a brand new documentary called Stands. But here's the thing. For a lot of Eminem's most dedicated followers, the film completely, and I mean completely missed the mark.
Yeah, so the release of Stands basically lit up the internet, especially on Reddit. It revealed this, deep frustration. In an age where we have endless content about our favorite stars, fans felt the one thing they really wanted was the one thing they just weren't getting.
And this right here is what it all boiled down to. One user just hit the nail on the head. They said, "We don't want to hear about Weird M fans, we want to hear from M." They didn't want a movie about being obsessed fans, they wanted a real deep dive into the man himself, his life, his art, his story.
And right in the middle of all this disappointment, something really cool happened. People in these online discussions started pointing to this surprising alternative, a little-known, totally unofficial film from all the way back in 2004. The film is called Eminem AKA, and its whole angle, its whole premise, is to tell his story not from the top down, with the celebrity looking back, but from the ground up. It's told by the people who are actually there on the ground in Detroit, watching it all happen.
Now, this is what makes the film so different. Its real power comes from what it doesn't have. This isn't some slick, official project. It's totally unsanctioned. Eminem himself isn't even in it, at least not in new interviews. The entire story is built from the voices of his family and childhood friends, the people who knew Marshall Mathers, not the global superstar.
So let's get into what this film actually shows us, because it builds this picture of his early life that, a more official project might just gloss over. This is where AKA really shines, in the raw, unfiltered details of his youth.
I mean, the documentary paints this really stark picture of hardship. We're talking about a kid who moved more than 20 times, always the new guy, always feeling like an outsider. It gets into this brutal bullying incident that was so bad it actually put him in a coma for 10 days. So you can imagine, when his Uncle Ronnie introduced him to hip-hop, it wasn't just music. For him, it was a lifeline.
And this quote from a review just perfectly sums up the film's whole vibe. It calls it a portrait of an artist fighting through childhood abandonment, trauma, and neglect. See, the film doesn't hide from the dark stuff. Instead, it uses it to give us the context for all the fury and the genius that would later fuel his entire career.
So how in the world does an artist take all that pain and turn it into art? Well, for Marshall Mathers, the answer was he had to become someone else. He created Slim Shady.
Before he was a superstar, his music was more conscious, focused on the real-life struggles of trying to raise his daughter. But it wasn't grabbing anyone's attention. So he creates Slim Shady, and everything changes. This alter ego was described as a lyrical kamikaze pilot, totally fearless, zero filter, and ready to tackle all those inner demons head-on.
And, this is such a powerful tool for any creative person. Creating an alter ego gives you distance. It creates this space where you can explore darker, more extreme ideas that you just couldn't touch as yourself.
It's a dynamic we see in great fiction all the time, right? I mean, just think about Walter White's transformation into Heisenberg in Breaking Bad. He created this darker, more powerful persona to survive in a hostile world. It's a really similar psychological move.
Which brings us right back to today. Why is this 20-year-old, totally unofficial movie suddenly the one that fans are passing around? Why does it matter more now than maybe ever before?
It's simple, really. The fans themselves are recommending it. They're telling each other that this is the antidote to those polished fan service projects that left them feeling empty. They're pointing to Eminem AKA because it offers a different kind of truth, a more grounded one.
And that's really the key here. The fact that the film is a little makeshift, a little raw around the edges, that's not a weakness, it's its greatest strength. In a world of carefully managed celebrity images, this unpolished story feels incredibly real. And that authenticity is exactly what fans are starving for.
So it leaves us with this pretty provocative question, doesn't it? In this age of perfectly curated celebrity, are the unofficial stories, the ones told from the outside without any permission, actually the most authentic ones we're ever going to get?
It's definitely something to think about.